Smilodon. You already know the name. You've seen the skull in museums, the reconstructions in documentaries. You think you know what this animal was. You don't. The fangs measured up to 28 centimeters, not for tearing, not for chewing, but for a single catastrophic puncture to the throat. The jaw unhinged to a 120-degree gape, nearly twice what a modern lion can manage, specifically to clear those blades before the strike landed. Every cubic centimeter of its skull was engineered for one moment. One moment. Its forelimbs were barrel-thick, built to pin megafauna, mammoths, giant ground sloths, prehistoric horses, to the earth while the teeth found the kill point. For over 1 million years, nothing in the Americas stopped it. Then the Ice Age ended, the megafauna collapsed, and Smilodon, the most perfectly specialized predator in cat history, discovered the fatal flaw of perfect specialization. When the world it was built for disappears, it disappears with it. The most iconic killer in the fossil record was not defeated by a stronger predator. It was defeated by a warming climate and a collapsing food chain. The teeth outlasted everything, except time. Panthera atrox. This is the lion you have never heard of, and it was larger than any lion alive today, larger than any lion that has ever been alive, and it vanished so completely that most people have never seen its name. Panthera atrox, the American lion, stood over 1.2 meters at the shoulder and weighed up to 350 kilograms. It dominated North America for hundreds of thousands of years, ranging from Alaska to Mexico, sharing territory with Smilodon, short-faced bears, and dire wolves, and somehow holding its position above all of them. Bone isotope analysis reveals it was a pursuit predator, long legs, deep chest, built for open ground speed. Kill sites show it taking horses, camels, and juvenile mammoths, not scavenging, hunting. When the first humans crossed into the Americas roughly 13,000 years ago, they walked into a continent where this animal already owned the land. They left no paintings of it, no carvings, no record of the encounter at all. Panthera atrox disappeared shortly after human arrival. Whether that is coincidence or consequence, paleontology has not yet settled. What is settled is this: the largest lion that ever lived ruled a continent for hundreds of thousands of years and was erased so thoroughly that most humans today have never once heard its name. Panthera spelaea. Here is the thing nobody tells you about the cave lion. Humans painted it. 30,000 years ago, deep inside caves in France and Germany, Paleolithic people took pigment, pressed it to limestone walls, and drew this cat mid-stalk, with an accuracy that modern scientists have confirmed through fossil and DNA analysis. Not a mythological creature, not a symbol, a real animal they had seen, feared, and decided was worth recording in the dark. Panthera spelaea was distinct from every living lion species, a separate lineage confirmed through ancient DNA, massive, slender, and apparently maneless, with a range stretching from Britain to Siberia. Isotope analysis from its bones suggests it specialized in cave bears and reindeer, large, dangerous prey requiring patience, speed, and coordinated ambush. It lived alongside early modern humans for tens of thousands of years, and those humans, who had every reason to fear it, chose instead to document it. They painted it in the deepest, most deliberate spaces they used for meaning. Then the megafauna collapsed. The cave lion went extinct around 13,000 years ago, and those paintings remained. The humans outlasted the lion. The art outlasted both. What they chose to memorialize, and why, is a question the paintings cannot answer. Homotherium. Everything about this cat was wrong for a saber-tooth. The sloping spine, the long front legs, the hyena-like profile, the serrated, blade-like teeth instead of rounded sabers. Every design choice was backwards, and it survived for 5 million years. Where Smilodon was a wrestler, Homotherium was a runner. Its skeletal proportions suggest sustained pursuit across open ground, a coursing predator in a lineage of ambushers. Its teeth were not built for stabbing, they were built for slicing, shearing through hide and tissue in rapid cutting strokes. And then there is the bone bed in Texas, the fossilized remains of dozens of juvenile mammoths, all in one location, all bearing Homotherium tooth marks. The leading interpretation is coordinated group hunting, multiple individuals working together to separate and bring down young mammoths. Cats don't do that. Lions barely do that. Homotherium apparently did it across multiple continents, across 5 million years, at a scale no other cat lineage has ever matched. It broke every rule of what a saber-tooth was supposed to be, and that is precisely why it outlasted almost all of them. The animal that looked wrong survived the longest. There is something unsettling about that. Machairodus, before Smilodon, before Homotherium, Before any name on this list existed, there was a cat that made all of them possible, and almost nobody has heard of it. Machairodus lived between 9 and 5 million years ago, deep time, before the Ice Age, before modern humans, before most of the megafauna those later cats would hunt. It was one of the first large, saber-toothed felids, ranging across Africa, Europe, and Asia at a time when even the modern big cat lineages were barely diverging. It weighed over 200 kilograms. Its laterally flattened canines were the architectural blueprint that every saber-tooth lineage after it would refine, extend, and ultimately perfect. Machairodus was the prototype. Every dramatic fang in the fossil record, every ambush predator that terrorized Pleistocene megafauna, every saber-tooth on this list, all of them descend from a body plan this animal established millions of years before any of them existed. It did not live in the Ice Age. It did not hunt mammoths. It built the machine that everything else would be made from. The most important predator in cat evolutionary history is the one that gets no exhibit, no documentary, no cultural footprint whatsoever. It simply invented the design and stepped aside. Megantereon. It was smaller than Smilodon, less famous than Smilodon, half the cultural footprint of Smilodon. It was also, pound for pound, possibly more dangerous than Smilodon. And it built Smilodon from scratch. Megantereon was compact, low to the ground, and muscled in a way that fossil reconstructions suggest was almost absurd for its size. It lived from roughly 5 million to 500,000 years ago across Africa, Eurasia, and North America. Its killing method was not brute force pinning, it was precision. Bite placement in the jugular and carotid, driving sabers into the exact anatomical position to cause maximum blood loss with minimum struggle. Biomechanically, it may have been the most efficient killer in the entire saber-tooth lineage. It was also the direct ancestor of Smilodon, the cat that would take everything Megantereon refined and amplify it to its largest possible form. Megantereon spent millions of years perfecting a killing system, passed that design to its evolutionary descendants, and was eventually replaced by the animal it had made possible. It built its own successor, was then outcompeted by it, and the successor became the icon, while Megantereon became a footnote in its own legacy. In any other story, that would be called a tragedy. Xenosmilus. This cat should not exist. The fossils are real anyway. Xenosmilus hudsoni, recovered from 2 partial skeletons in Florida, represents something the fossil record almost never produces, a genuine outlier. A body plan that appears nowhere before it, nowhere after it, and makes complete mechanical sense while looking like something assembled from incompatible parts. Lion-sized body, saber teeth from the same lineage as Smilodon, and then the third element, massive, blade-like carnassial cheek teeth, so developed they could shear through flesh and bone with an efficiency no other saber-tooth possessed. Most predators in its lineage stabbed. Xenosmilus stabbed and sliced. Skull mechanics suggest it drove its sabers into prey, then used its carnassials to rapidly remove enormous chunks of flesh, consuming the kill faster than any competing predator could intervene. The feeding strategy has been compared, seriously, to a cookie-cutter shark. Penetrate, slice, extract, repeat. Only 2 specimens have ever been found, both at the same site, both from the same narrow time window, roughly 1.8 million years ago. We don't know its range, its behavior beyond that feeding reconstruction, or why a body plan this effective left no descendants. Evolution built something extraordinary, used it once, and never tried it again. Dinofelis. This is the last cat on this list. It is also the only one that may have eaten your ancestors. Dinofelis, terrible cat, was not the largest predator of its era, not the most specialized, not the fastest, not the one with the most dramatic teeth or the most extreme body plan. It was medium-sized, false-sabered, and widespread across Africa, Europe, Asia, and North America from roughly 5 million to 1.4 million years ago. Unremarkable by the standards of everything else on this list, except for what was found in its kill sites. Fossil evidence from South African cave deposits places Dinofelis remains in direct association with Australopithecus and early Homo bones bearing predation marks consistent with large felid bites. The hypothesis has been debated for decades. The spatial and temporal overlap has not. This cat lived alongside our earliest ancestors, at the same water sources, in the same landscapes. Whether it hunted us deliberately or simply found us easy, the bone record suggests it ate us. Dinofelis went extinct 1.4 million years ago. By that point, the hominids it had been hunting were making tools, controlling fire, and beginning the long process that would end with humans driving nearly every apex predator on Earth to extinction. The cat that hunted our ancestors did not survive to see what those ancestors became. That is either justice or irony, possibly both. 8 cats, millions of years of evolution, every body plan, every killing strategy, every ecological niche a predator could occupy, tried, refined, and eventually lost. Not because these animals failed, because the worlds they were built for stopped existing. Now the question, and this one only works if you actually made it through all 8. One cat on this list is found at only a single fossil site, survived in the record through just 2 partial skeletons, and used a feeding strategy that has never been documented in any other felid before or since. Which one? Drop your answer in the comments. First ones right get featured in the next video.